So these are the three things that wise people prescribe in the world, that good people prescribe, that we should be doing. Now, if you think about those three things, the first one is generosity. Now, we all know that generosity is a very foundational aspect of Buddhist practice. It's something that often comes even before virtue, because sometimes it's easier to actually be generous than it is to be virtuous. It's very foundational, and it often comes at the very beginning of the Buddhist path. And the second thing here that the Buddha mentions here is the going forth. In other words, becoming a monastic, a nun, or a monk. And we all know how important that is in Buddhism, because the monastic sangha is essentially the vehicle, usually, that carries Buddhism forward in the sense that it understands the teachings, the deepest, usually, not always, but usually, and also because they specialize in these teachings. They actually read the suttas, and they have the most of the time anyway, the most profound understanding of what the Buddha's teaching is about. So the going forth is fundamental to Buddhist practice. So here you have generosity, the going forth, two very important factors. And the third one is supporting one's parents. That is quite remarkable. It shows you how important this quality is, that it actually goes with these two other extremely fundamental things in the Buddhist practice. So that is how important they are. And as I mentioned before, sometimes the Buddha talks about the Buddhist teachings is often very structured, and you read often it's like a sequence of things that you find in the teachings of the Buddha. It's always sequential. Things have a certain structure to them. And the Buddha talks about, for example, where a person should spend their money, where they should spend their wealth. If you go out and you work in the right way, you have a correct type of livelihood, where you don't do anything wrong in the world, you do good things in the world, and after a while you accumulate some wealth. Now, how should you spend that wealth? And the Buddha said, well, the first person that you should look after when you have acquired some wealth is yourself.